number one quality that's helped me my whole life, and that's tremendous work ethic. Everything I've ever achieved in my teaching career, academically, in sports, it's been from that work ethic. The tremendous support, unconditional love. One of the things that I remember most that stood out in my mind in high school, I think it was before nationals. A lot of pressure going into that race. It was very exciting. I had worked for a number of years. I have a story about tonight about that too. But I remember my dad giving me a big hug before that race, and he said, "Honey, go out there and have fun, because that's what it's all about." And he goes, whatever the outcome, we love you. And it's kind of what I needed to hear at the moment, right? I love many of you are parents. Coach tonight, I called him the summer before I moved to Arroyo Grande. Total stranger, talked to him on the phone. But I was pretty excited when I heard his name. I'm like, it has Nike in it, so it must be good. He said tonight and all that. But I think it was on our first phone call when he'd asked me what some of my goals were. But he asked me a little bit about some of my times. He did a little homework on me before I showed up. And I told him from our first conversation, when he asked my goals, I said, I'm going to nationals. I didn't say, I want to go. I told him I'm going. And I said, I hope that you and I can work together to achieve that goal. And he did. And then later, he told me, like, girl, when I heard that, it was the only thing I could think of in my head was, I don't want to screw this girl up. And then he told me after I graduated, and I had no idea about this, he said he had weekly conversations with Coach Lance Harder at Cal Poly. And at that time, they were 5-time national cross-country champions. And he told me all the workouts that he gave me every week, he got from Lance. And he also told me there were some pretty ticked-off girls over there when I ran faster than they did. Those of you who remember tonight, it sounds like him, doesn't it? I love that man, and I miss him, as many of you do. I want to thank Coach Brown. His nickname, in my mind, was Mr. Positivity. He's a great example as someone who gives back to the community. And now as an educator myself, I looked up to him as an educator as well. He's had a lifetime of contribution, not just athletically, but the way he views and still treats students will always stay with me. So thank you, Coach Brown. I would also like to thank the Arroyo Grande High School Athletic Foundation for this opportunity, for creating something as wonderful as the Hall of Fame to recognize your community's athletes. So thank you very much. And although she's not here this evening, I'd like to thank my sister Sharon. Some of you knew her. Thank you. She was a 507 miler here at the high school as a freshman. She went to the state meet as a freshman. I'd like to take a little credit for that, because I was the one who used to get her up at 5:30 in the morning as an 8th grader, make her run with me in the mornings. So she was my morning training companion as well as my best friend, so I'd like to thank her as well. I'd like to thank my husband, Brian, 25 years. He's my #1 cheerleader in everything. He's my best friend. I'd like to thank my girls for being here, and I'm proud of who you are, and thank you for sharing tonight with me. I'd also like to thank this really important law that passed years before I ran in Arroyo Grande, but I still remember as early as 1978, it's a few years prior to that, when my older sister ran cross country in the 70s, this little law called Title IX. And I hope some of the servers are still here from high school, because you can YouTube it, but look up some things on Title IX. Because there are many awesome women before you that paved the way for you, paved the way for me. And I have a huge debt of gratitude to those women. I know that I was part of a lot of firsts at Arroyo Grande High School, but they were first before me. Wonderful moment that I have the year I graduated, something very, very special happened in California. In 1984, we were privileged to have the Los Angeles Olympic Games here, very close by. And I still remember glued to my TV set, watching Joni Benoit, an American woman, win the Olympic marathon. And what was so special about that, that was the first ever women's Olympic marathon. Yeah, wow, it's right. And I was privileged to see that, and it took many years, women spending decades fighting for that marathon. I mean, I still had a few years ago, I was training at the gym, and a lady found out that I ran marathons, and she asked me, she was probably in her 70s, and asked me if I was afraid my uterus would fall out. True story, true story. And that was one of the things they actually thought about women back in the day in sports. I mean, for the longest time, the longest event for women was the 800 meters, because they thought, as women, we can handle more than that. So, I'm here to tell you we can. So if I have a legacy to pass on to young women today, is be fierce, be strong. In everything that you do, it's not just about sports. I mean, some of sports have so many memories for me, and it's still part of my life. I still run marathons. The next thing on my challenge list is in November I plan on running a 50K, so that's 32 miles. That'll be my first ultra. So I still do things that scare me, and wow, it's true, it intimidates me, and it's on my list. But I'm going to do it. You know, it's just how I was raised. Professionally, some things I'm proud of is I'm president of an organization called PAGE, Professional Advocates of Gifted Education. It's an advocacy group for gifted kids. Spent 20 years of my career as GATE program coordinator. You know, and often we're driven by things that are personal to us. So I was one of those, you know, gifted kids in school that was spent a lot of time being bored in school. And I have to say, I had some great teachers at Arroyo Grande that I didn't feel like I was in a slow motion world. I was engaged in my learning, and I'm grateful for that. I currently teach 4th grade in a high poverty school district. Yeah, I have my notes on my phone too. Even though I'm an older gal, I'm technology lead teacher at my school, so. Also teaching VP, so I was talking to Coach Brown's daughter that she's another high achiever. I said, we don't know how to say no, you know, when they need a volunteer for something and nobody wants to step up, we'll go, all right, I'll do it. So I'm sure like me, she has days where she's tired, but I'm thankful I have a life that's very gratifying. And my memories of Arroyo Grande are a strong part of that. So I'd like to thank this community. Thank you.
We were watching the videos and the stills run by, and we were sitting back in the corner, and I was having a conversation. I saw a picture of our next inductee at a very young age, and I think his doppelganger is